Welcome to the LexisNexis Open Memo Training. My name is Charlotte Strong, and I am your Lexis rep. I'm a research attorney with LexisNexis. At Pepperdine, you also have 3 student reps, Rachel Enders, Alex Boutel, and Corinne Lang. We are all here to help you with your research needs. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make researching for your writing assignment easy. I know this is your first chance to do your own research for a writing assignment. Remember, you have the skills to do this, and you're constantly learning more skills to help. Everyone take a deep breath. Finding your own cases is much easier than you think. That's why I'm here to help you develop your research plan that will make researching for your open memo a snap. First, click on this black box to go to Lexis Advance. The first thing you want to do so that you are organized is to create a folder. Click on More and then Folders. Click Create a New Folder and name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it Open Memo Fall 2019 and then just click Create. Now I have a folder to save all of my research. I'm going to go back to the home page by clicking on Lexis Advanced Research to begin my research. I'm going to give you a research plan that will help you tackle any legal issue that you are researching. This is a plan that you will use throughout the rest of law school and, frankly, throughout the rest of your legal career. Let's go through the steps. First, identify the cause of action or legal defense. Look in secondary materials for a discussion of the cause of action or legal defense. Go to Statutes and Legislation to find statutes and case notes if you have a statute. Search in case law using the cause of action and elements as search terms. If you get too many hits, then focus on a specific element within the cause of action or a legally significant fact. Don't focus too heavily on the facts yet. Try to pick cases that give a good discussion of your elements and how it is applied. Look for the court to set out tests, standards, or define certain elements. Finally, apply the court's discussion of the elements to your own set of facts. All right, our hypo today. You are representing a woman in California who wants to sue for negligent infliction of emotional distress because she witnessed a car accident of her stepsister who was visiting from out of town. Remember, step 1, identify the cause of action or legal defense. Remember, in the beginning, you do not want to focus on facts. If the cause of action isn't obvious, look for terms of art, terms that have special meaning in the law that might not mean anything to non-lawyers. In our hypo, we can identify the cause of action as negligent infliction of emotional distress. So let's go ahead and search that. I'm typing in negligent infliction of emotional distress. Now that I've identified the cause of action, I want to start in secondary materials. So I come here and click the down arrow to start in secondary materials. You are still searching all of the documents on Lexis Advance. You're just telling the system which documents you would like to see first. I'm going to go ahead and click the red magnifying glass. Now that I'm in secondary materials, I want to look at treatises. Treatises are like legal encyclopedias. Think of it like a Wikipedia that's actually accurate. So I'm going to narrow my category to just treatises. From here, I see that I still have a lot of material. And as I look through, I'm not necessarily seeing anything for California. So I'm going to go ahead and narrow my jurisdiction. I am narrowing my jurisdiction to California because that is where our jurisdiction is. So when I'm looking for a treatise, I want to look at the title of the treatise. This is California Forms of Pleading and Practice Annotated. And this chapter is on mental suffering and emotional distress, and it's giving the legal background. That sounds like something that might be great for me. But I'm going to continue to scroll down because I don't want to just click into the first result on my results list. As I scroll down, I also see this, California Torts, and it is a chapter on negligent infliction of emotional distress. I think I may come back to that later. So let's go ahead and click into this first treatise. The first thing you should do when you click into a treatise is open the table of contents. Often, when you have found one good chapter, there are other chapters or sections surrounding your chapter that may also be helpful. So, as I read this, in general, I see that California recognizes a right to recover damages for serious emotional distress in a negligence action. And right away, I see the case that this came from. Great! I want to continue reading. But I need to know, can my client, who is a third party, recover for negligent infliction of emotional distress? I'm going to expand this chapter, and then I see, oh, look, there's injuries to third parties. Let's expand that. And I see bystander and direct victim theories of recovery, liability to physically injured person required, recovery by precipitant witness. That's what I'm interested in. Once I go here, I can see in general, precipitant witnesses to negligent acts are within the class of persons to whom the defendant owes a general duty of care. Okay, and as I keep reading, I see, boom, I have a test. Right here are 4 elements laid out for me as to how a bystander can recover for negligent infliction of emotional distress. All right, so now that I have these 4 elements, I'm going to go ahead and highlight them. And I'm going to annotate them as well. I just have to highlight them with my mouse. Let me do that again. I'm highlighting the 4 elements with my mouse, and then I'm going to click annotate. And I'm going to write here tests and elements, and then just click annotate. That way I can come back to it and I know why I highlighted it. And then I also see serious emotional distress is a reaction beyond the reaction that would be anticipated in a disinterested witness, and that is not an abnormal response to the circumstances. Great, I want to highlight this as well. And I'm going to annotate. I'm going to choose a different color so I know that this is the definition of serious emotional distress. And just click annotate. As I read through this, I look at the elements and see the one most at issue for us is whether or not our client is closely related to the victim. This section helps us define what a close relationship is. And right here, we have absent exceptional circumstances, recovery should be limited to relatives residing in the same household or parents, siblings, children, and grandparents of the victim. So I'm going to highlight this again, and I'm going to annotate. Let's choose a different color. I'm going to choose this blue and write definition of close relationship and hit annotate. Now I have made several annotations in this treatise, so I want to go ahead and save it. Up here, I click on this folder icon, which also says folders when you hover over it. I click the down arrow, and I can save it to my folder that I created earlier, or if you didn't create a folder yet, have no fear, you can do so now. I click choose a folder. I can add a few notes, which I highly suggest that you do, because often researching at 11 o'clock at night, You may not remember why you wanted to save this at 11 a.m. the next morning. So add a few notes and then you can choose your folder or you can create a new folder. Name it whatever you want, click create. I'm going to go ahead and choose my Open Memo Fall 2019 and write treatise with test and elements. And then click save. Now my annotations are saved along with my highlights, and I can come back to it at any point that I need to. It's important to note that you must save your document to a folder to save your annotations and highlights. I want to go now that I've seen a treatise and I have some idea, I know what the elements in the test are, I want to go ahead and look at some cases. So I need to get back to my research results list. I'm going to click back once to go back into the treatise, and right here I can click results list to take me back into my search. Remember, I am in secondary materials and now I want to look at cases. I simply have to change the category. I click on category and go to cases. Now remember, our jurisdiction is California. So these 10,000 plus cases, I don't need to care anything about Texas. So let's go ahead and narrow our jurisdiction. So I expand court and there I choose California. And this has narrowed my cases to a little over 3,000. Now, I want to see what the Seminole cases are. I have some idea from the treatise. I know Thing versus Lechuza is where I get the test and elements, as well as the definition of what serious emotional distress is and what a close relationship is. But I want to know, are there other Seminole cases that I need to look at? Very simple. I go right here, all the way on the right, to Ravel View, and I click that to change my view to Ravel View. Ravel View is a case mapping system that shows the top 75 cases on your case results list. The bigger the circle, the more citations to and from that particular case. The higher it is in a particular quadrant shows the relevance. This axis over here is court. Since we are simply in California, we only have state court. It will show multiple courts if you have multiple courts in your search results list. This axis is timeline, so you can see how the issue has developed over time. So I see the biggest circle and the most relevant is Moline, which we know is what gives you the ability in California to recover for negligent infliction of emotional distress. This other big circle is Thing versus Lechuza. Oh, that's our really important case that gives us the test. If I click on this circle, the case that I'm looking at pops to the top of my case results list, and I am holding the case. And now I can see the shepherd's relationship between this case and other cases in my case results list. Shepherds is how you validate whether or not a case is still good law. Remember, green indicates positive treatment. Yellow indicates cautionary treatment. An orange cue indicates that there is some questioning treatment. And a red stop sign indicates that there is negative treatment. But remember, if you see a red stop sign, that does not mean that you cannot necessarily use that case. You need to investigate that case and see why there is a red stop sign. It may be that the case has been overruled for something that is not a part of what you need. It may still be good law on the point that you need it for. So remember, always investigate red. So back to Ravel View. I have clicked on Thing versus Lechuza, and now I can see the shepherd's relationship between other cases. So if I hover, I have hovered, and now I can see Ochoa versus Superior Court has followed Thing versus Lechuza, and I also see the reasoning as to why it followed Thing versus Lechuza. And I can do that with all the other cases here on the case map. Now, have no fear. If you forget all of this, there is a legend that shows you what the size means, the color equals jurisdiction, connection is the citing relationship, and the connection color equals the shepherd's treatment, as well as the vertical position equals relevance. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go into Thing versus Lechusa. So I'm going to click the case name to take me into the case. So as I look at the case, I see the core terms, the case summary, and then I see head notes. LexisNexis head notes are points of law pulled directly from the opinion of the court. Lexis does not editorialize or summarize any points of law. We simply pull it from the court's language. So remember, because we pull the head notes from the court's language, LexisNexis head notes are citable because they are the language of the court. To see where a particular head note came from, simply click on the head note number and it jumps right to the place in the opinion where it came from. So right here, I see where head note 1 came from. I'm now going to click on that to go back to the top. So head note 1 is my task that gives me my elements. If I want to see more cases that have cited to this, I can click Shepherdize, narrow by this head note. What this does is takes me into the Shepherd's report of this particular case. I have narrowed by head note 1, meaning that I only want cases that have cited to that head note. And I can see how these cases have treated Thing versus Lechusa. There's cautionary analysis, positive analysis, as well as neutral analysis. And I can see exactly what kind of cautionary and positive and so forth analysis that there is. If I'm interested in all the cautionary analysis, I can click on that, and now my report is further narrowed to cautionary analysis that has cited head note 1. And I can look through and get more case law for my open memos so I can better understand this. Now, if I am done and I want to see the full Shepherd's report, all I have to do is click Clear. Now I am seeing the full Shepherd's report, and I see that there are 18 cases with cautionary analysis, 86 positive analysis, and 65 neutral. I can also narrow by other ways. I can narrow by jurisdiction. I may want to just narrow to California, as well as the level of discussion and head notes, other head notes that I might be interested in. One of the easiest ways to narrow your results list is by clicking on reported cases. Remember, unreported cases do not have any precedential value. So the court has indicated that they do not have precedential value. So you cannot use them to cite it as precedent. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to my results list. I'm just going to click back once to go back, or twice to go back into the case, maybe 3 times. I am now back into the case, and I'm going to click on results list to go to my results list. Now remember, and now I'm going to click on graphical view to see the graphical view. Now remember, we got a lot of hits. So let's focus on a specific element within the cause of action or a legally significant fact. A legally significant fact is a fact that would change the outcome of the case. So I am going to narrow this results list by searching within results. So I am going to search, remember, the thing that is most at issue for us is whether or not our client has a close relationship with her sister sufficient to recover for negligent infliction of emotional distress. So let's enter some search terms. I'm going to say close /S, relate, !P, parens, sister, or sibling, or step sister. Now, /s means that I want these terms within the same sentence. An exclamation point is a root expander. So I am telling the system I want all words that have this root in it, relate. So it could be relative, relation, and so forth. /p means that I want them in the same paragraph. When I put something in parens, the system searches that first and then goes to the other commands. It always goes from smallest to largest. So I'm going to go ahead and click Search Within Results. Now I am narrowed down to 25 cases, but I want to know, where do my search terms show up? So I can see right here is the search term map. This shows you where your search terms are within the case. The starred portion is where Lexis thinks is the best discussion of your search terms. Use the search term map to see if this is a case that you should even click into. So you can see where your search terms are within the case, whether they're in the summary, the head notes, or within the opinion. So we're picking out cases that give us a good discussion of our elements and how they are applied. We looked for the court to set out tests, standards, or define certain elements. In the interest of time, I am showing you how to go ahead and narrow that down. Remember, we have Thing versus Lechusa that gives us some elements as well as the test. So we have seen the two main cases that give us the standards. Moline for the standard of how to recover for negligent infliction of emotional distress, and Thing versus Lechusa for bystander negligent infliction of emotional distress. Thing versus Lechusa also defines what a close relationship is. We have also seen cases here that apply this test and the definition. Now it is time for us to apply the course discussion of the elements to our set of facts. So let's look at the test. Is our client closely related to the injury victim? So we can say that our client is a sibling of the victim. Now we will have to argue whether or not a stepsister qualifies as a sibling. Second, we know our client was present at the scene of the injury-producing event at the time when it occurred, and she was aware of it causing injury to the victim. And finally, she suffered serious emotional distress. So in conclusion, remember your research plan. Identify the cause of action or legal defense. Look in secondary material for a discussion of the cause of action or legal defense. Go to statutes and legislation to find statutes and case notes if you have a statute. We did not here. Search in case law using the cause of action and elements as search terms. If you get too many hits, focus on a specific element within the cause of action or a legally significant fact. Don't focus too heavily on the facts yet. Try to pick cases that give a good discussion of your elements and how they are applied. Look for the court to set out tests, standards, or define certain elements. Then apply the court's discussion of the elements to your set of facts. Use RavelView to see the seminal cases. But have no fear. If you forget all of this, you can always email, call, or text me. And if it is 3 a.m., I am probably sleeping, and I pray my student reps are sleeping as well. You can always call 1-800-45-LEXIS. That is our 24/7 customer service hotline, and is staffed by expert legal researchers. They have an average of over 15 years of legal research experience. That's who I call when I have a legal research question. Thank you so much for watching this LexisNexis Open Memo Training video. Have a wonderful day.